Okay, it's recording. I pause first.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's so good to see some familiar names, and to those of you who are joining us for the first time, hello and welcome. Do give us a couple of minutes as we wait for a few more participants before we start. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and hello. Thanks for joining us on a Tuesday evening. My name is Titus and I'm from MoneyOwl and I'll be your host for this evening. Once again, just like to thank everyone for taking time out from the middle of the week just to join us. This evening, we have actually prepared, have two speakers to share with us on how we can take care of both our health, both financially and physically. Right, so just a very quick disclaimer, right? Please do seek advice for relevant professional before making any investment decision. All right, so today we have actually two programs lined up for you guys. For the first part, we have Lena, which is our head of solution at MoneyOwl, to share with us how to build a sustainable retirement income for your golden years. Following which, we will have Dr. Philip Koh, senior family physician from Heathway Medical, to share with us how we can avoid and manage the three highs during this period of pandemic, or even after, as we go into a post-pandemic period. All right, so during their sharing, we do also have our colleagues on standby to help to answer your question in the chat box. So do feel free to type in your question in the chat box, and we do have our colleagues who will be responding to you shortly. And before we end off the session, we will have a Q&A session together with Lena and Dr. Koh for them to share their insights to some of the questions. All right, before we begin, do allow me to take a couple of minutes to share with you a little bit about MoneyOwl. All right, MoneyOwl is actually a social enterprise, NTUC social enterprise, and we are a financial advisor and fund management firm company licensed by MAS. At MoneyOwl, we aim to provide honest and expert financial advice to people from all walks of life. And this is how we do it. Firstly, we do it by adopting a comprehensive approach to our planning, considering national schemes like CPF. And also our advisors are fully salary based, which means that they do not receive commission for any product sold. So you can be rest assured that your needs and your priorities will always be placed first. So as I mentioned, our advisors do not receive any commission, right? In order to help our clients save costs, we do offer 50% commission rebates to our clients. Last but not least, we are not tied up to any insurance company or not VC funded. Therefore, it gives us the ability to stay independent and place our clients' interests first. All right, so without further ado, we will just dive straight into our first topic. We have Miss Lena. Lena is our head of solution at MoneyOwl. So she will be covering probably the next 30 to 40 minutes to share with us how we can build a sustainable retirement income for your golden years. Lena, please.
All right, thank you, Titus, for the introduction, and good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Let me share my screen first. Okay. So can I check that everybody is able to see my screen? All right, sure, that's great. Okay, so my name is Lena, and as Titus has introduced, and I am very excited to be sharing with you today on how you can build a sustainable retirement income for yourself. All right, so I have structured today's presentation into three parts. First, by way of introduction and also setting the stage right, I will be sharing with you about the two phases of retirement planning. Many people are usually concerned over one phase, which is basically the accumulation phase, about how I can grow my money it to be sufficient for my retirement years. But they fail to realize that there is actually a second phase when it comes to your retirement plans. And this second phase is equally important, or if not more so. Next, I will cover three often overlooked considerations when it comes to retirement planning. There are, of course, many more considerations to think about, but in interest of time and for today's webinar specifically, I will only point out three pertinent ones. And lastly, I will share with you a recent study on the retirement income planning study by two well-known academics in the United States. So based on their study, they have actually found that most of us fall into one of four retirement income styles. The study also shares what retirement income planning strategy works best with each style, which hopefully will help motivate you to take action sooner than later after this webinar. So I have actually very nicely managed to structure my presentation with 2, 3, and 4. So hopefully this will help you to also remember the pointers better after this presentation. So let me begin by sharing with you a story. I'd like to ask any of you, do you know this is a picture of which mountain? Oh, actually, I don't put the name there. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is a picture of Mount Fuji. Okay, back in the summer of 2016. Oh, okay, back in the summer of 2016. Okay, so Mount Fuji is 3,776 meters above sea level, and this was my very first mountain climbing expedition. Prior to this, the only other mountain, if you can call it a mountain, is Bukit Timah. And in comparison, Bukit Timah is only 164 meters above sea level in comparison. Okay, so Mount Fuji is 3,776, Bukit Timah is 164. So that is like almost more than 20 times taller. And but I really have a fascination with mountains and sunsets and sunrise. So this is one of the things that I really wanted to do as part of my bucket list back in 2016. So when I had planned and trained for this mountain climb, I had only trained with basically one goal in mind, which is to see the sunrise at the summit at 5 a.m. in the morning. All right. So over here, I'll share with you how the climb looks like. I even have time to pick up my phone and take a picture. Yeah. So this is how the climb looks like. It's very rocky and very crowded. There's a lot of people climbing as well. And at some point of time along the journey, the incline is very steep. So we really have to take short breaks every now and then. And I know in my mind, I was telling myself, take 10 steps, stop, take 10 steps, stop. Okay. And then I started the climb at about 10 a.m. And by the time I reached my last base, which was around base camp 8, it was around 6 to 7 p.m. So by then I was really very tired, but still very excited to be seeing the sunrise the next morning. So we had our dinner and then we slept overnight until about 2 a.m. in the morning. And then once we woke up at 2 a.m., we got some breakfast and then we got ourselves ready for the last climb up to the summit. And we needed to do it really early because Japan being the land of the rising sun, and also because it is in a mountain, we had to, the sunrise actually comes out at 5 a.m. in the morning. So what? Oh, all right. Sorry. Speaking, oh, okay, I'm sorry. So, audio not great. Maybe I should increase my volume. Does it help? Is this better? Yeah. If it's better, then let me know. Yeah, okay, that's great. All right. So this is how the climb, so as I was mentioning about the climb, right? So then come the next morning at 5 a.m., I, together with thousands of other climbers out there on top of Mount Fuji, witnessed this beautiful sunrise. And I was very happy to be the proud Singaporean to also plant a Singapore flag there, especially kept it and folded it in my pocket so that once I reached the summit, I was able to plant the flag there and mission accomplished, right? So that's what I thought, but I was really wrong because I was not at the end of my journey unless I intended to live on top of Mount Fuji for the rest of my life. I was in fact only halfway there. So after a short break, we started our long journey down the mountain. Okay, it took me about 7 hours to get to my base camp, right? But it took me 9 hours to go all the way down. Okay, the reason why it took so long was because by then I was low on water, low on food, low on energy, low on motivation because I got no more sunrise to see, and my legs were cramping like mad. My pace slowed to almost like a tortoise crawl because every step became very, very painful for me. And it was really embarrassing because if you see in this photo, there's this guy who was just like jogging without any bag. He's just jogging next to me down the mountain. Like, I think this is his everyday job. But I was really crawling all the way to the finishing line. Still no sound? Oh, okay. So and it was embarrassing. Okay, like I mentioned, that the other climbers could just pass me by so easily. So of course, the good news is that I actually finally made it back to the base, and otherwise I wouldn't be here today to give you this presentation. And I learned, but from that day onwards, I actually learned a very, very important lesson, because that for every journey up or every journey to some destination, there is always a journey back or a journey down. And we need to plan not just to reach the summit and think that everything is all right, but we also need to plan for the journey home safely. So likewise, when it comes to planning for your retirement, we slog it up sometimes with only one goal in mind, retirement. But retirement is not your destination. It is just, in fact, the beginning of the journey home. So as much as we want to, this isn't the time for you to cash out all your assets and spend like there is no tomorrow. It is all the more important that you ensure that you are well prepared for the next 10, 20, or 30 years in reaching your goals. Okay, yeah, so you're well prepared in the next 10, 20, 30 years that you have in the golden years so that you can reach the end of your journey with your heads held high. So this is why, with the story of my mountain expedition in mind, I want us to imagine that most of us, our wealth accumulation journey or our wealth journey will also look something like this. When we are starting out working in our 20s, you are focused on saving for your short-term needs, your goals, getting married, buying insurance, and basically enjoying the time of your life. But before you know it, you find that you are wondering that, hey, how did I now start planning from start celebrating my 40th birthday? And you wonder where did all the years go by? By now, you may have started planning, started a family, and you have established your career, and you're able to start setting aside more money towards your long-term goals, such as your children's education, and most importantly, the point of time of attaining financial freedom. You'll probably hit the peak of your wealth sometime in your 50s or 60s, and then you'll start to slow down. However, like my story, planting your flag at the top of the mountain is not the end of the journey. You still have to make your descent down safely and without tumbling all the way down. So, and as for some of us, at the end of our journey, we would like to also leave a legacy behind, whether a financial one or otherwise, whatever that could be important to you. In which case, you will also need to plan for this. Of course, for some of us, there will be many more bumps on the way up. It doesn't look like such a smooth curve up, right? We will have more bumps up and down, up and down. But generally, you can agree with me that there are two distinct phases in our wealth journey. One is the accumulation phase, and the second is what we call the decumulation phase. And I would like to ask the audience here today, and you can type it into the chat, which of these phase do you think is the more difficult one to navigate? Is it the journey upwards, the accumulation journey, or do you think it is the decumulation journey that is the more difficult phase for you to navigate? I'd like you to be able to, if you can hear me, and if you have the chat open in front of you, to type it into the chat as well, so that I can know what you all think about this. Okay, Leah shares decumulation. Okay, decumulation. Oh, okay. Actually, most of you would agree with me, the decumulation. Okay, some may say both, okay, but I would actually want to share that my point of view is that decumulation is actually the more difficult journey, more difficult phase to navigate. And these are some of the reasons why. This is because unlike accumulation, where you are already, you know where your endpoint is. That means you know when you are going to retire at some point of time, whether you're 55, 60, or 65 years old, you do know when your endpoint is, and you know how long more you have before you need to reach your goals, and you can work towards that goal. Just like me, I know my sunrise, and that is the goal that I'm motivated to work towards. However, during the decumulation phase, the unfortunate thing is that we have a very big unknown, which is we do not know how long we actually need this money for. This is because we don't have a contract with God, so we don't really know whether we are going to be here until we are 70, 80, 90, or for some of us beyond our 100 years old. So this is going to be the most, this is actually the biggest question mark for all of us when it comes to the decumulation journey, because we do not know how long we need the money for, and therefore whether we should spend more now or spend more later or whatever, because then you don't want to end up having too much, not enjoying your early years in retirement, but yet at the same time worrying that you won't have enough if you happen to live until like 90 and 100 years old. The second reason is actually because unlike the accumulation journey where you can actually make money mistakes, and recover from it because you're still working and you have a long runway to grow and accumulate. When you make a money mistake during your decumulation years, firstly, you no longer have an income, a source of income through work, and then your runway is also shorter, which means you have less time to actually recover from this money mistake. And lastly, because in your decumulation years, you are likely to be spending, it every day seems to be like a Saturday or Sunday. So there might be some tendency or temptation to overspend as well. So therefore, in my opinion, I feel that decumulation journey is actually the more difficult journey to navigate in our entire wealth journey as well. And actually, if I found this to be quite true also, if I compare this with my mountain climbing expedition, when I was climbing Mount Fuji, while gravity made it very strenuous for me to take each step upwards, my whole body is actually grounded and my eyes are focused upwards towards my goal. And I have actually trained the right muscles to actually help me with the climb. But on the way down, I realized that gravity also my enemy now, but it was so much more so because now I have to fight against gravity to prevent myself from actually rolling down the hill. And the fear of falling suddenly becomes so much more acute. And believe me, the muscles that you need to descend the mountain is so different from the ones that you need to bring you up. Okay, and I never trained those muscles. All right, so now that we know that there are two different phases, how should we think about investing during our wealth accumulation phase as well as our decumulation phase? So at MoneyOwl, because we recognize that when it comes to accumulation and decumulation, it's very different. So different strategies are necessary simply because the journey is different. You will need to train up different types of financial muscles to help you navigate this phase of your life. For example, if you are investing for wealth accumulation, that is going up the mountain, your focus is more on capital appreciation, growing your money, and because you have time and also the income earning capacity, you can also afford to take higher risk with your investments. During this phase of the journey as well, sequence of returns may matter less to you. So what do we mean by sequence of returns? It's basically in very simplistic terms, right? It's the shape of your investment curve during your period of investment. So assuming your investment portfolio says that in the long run, you can get about 7% per annum returns, you can expect to get the return as long as you stay invested in the long run. And it doesn't matter that at the point of time when you're investing, whether the curve is going down, going up, V shape, L shape, or L shape, or whatever shape, it doesn't matter. Because as long as you stay invested in the long run, you can expect to get that kind of annualized returns. Now, when it comes to investing during the decumulation phase, however, which is going down the mountain, your focus will now switch to receiving a regular income from your assets. You are likely to be less aggressive in your investments because you now don't have time to recover from any investment mistakes you might make. And also for the sake of your heart, it also may not be a wise thing to be very aggressive as well. Also, you might need to consider the sequence of returns now during this phase of your journey, because when you withdraw more or less when the markets are going up or going down, will have actually a very long-lasting effect on how long your portfolio can last you. Thus, decumulation strategies are usually a lot more complex compared to accumulation. Yeah. So, but regardless of whichever consideration you have in terms of wealth accumulation or decumulation, the general investing principles applies in both phases. Always look for focus on the sufficiency and reliability of returns. Make sure you are invested in a portfolio that suits your risk profile. Stay invested, don't time the market, diversify broadly in global assets, and keep your costs low. So this is the first part of my sharing, which is about helping you to set the stage to understand there's actually two different parts to our wealth journey, and we need to use different strategies for each of them. Now, moving on to my second point, I will share with you three considerations that people have when it comes to planning for their, that are often overlooked when it comes to planning for their retirement. Okay, so these are the three considerations, and because I actually specifically put them as pictures to help you take a guess on what you think they are. I specifically chose these images because I thought they were quite powerful, and so maybe anybody want to hazard a guess what each of this image actually represents. Likewise, you can type it in the chat to see what these 3 considerations are that are often overlooked when it comes to planning for your retirement. What do you think the first icon or first image which says live now means? CPF and this uncle in a wheelchair. So anybody want to guess what are the 3 often overlooked considerations? Yes, yes, health issues is definitely one of them. But actually, health is one of the biggest concerns that people have when it comes to their old age. But the point that I will bring out later is actually more focusing on healthcare costs, living too long, unexpected life events, savings. Okay. Okay, you'll just keep typing as I go along because I will only review them one by one. All right. So on the most top left-hand corner under life now, right? You only live once. CPF savings, health. Elsa, you're very good. I'll give you a clap. Okay, you managed to get exactly the point that I wanted to make. Okay, so actually, if you look at this image on the top left-hand corner, this is something that you probably see often when you watch videos that are live shows or live streaming. Okay, so LIVE can be read as live because the show is live now, but it can also be read as live now. It's the same word, right? Because, and I feel that this is a very interesting reminder. Every time you see this symbol next time, I'll trigger this thought. It is a reminder that all of us are actually living our lives right here, right now. And I would like to quote a famous tortoise who once said that the past is history, the future is a mystery, but now is a gift. And that is why we call it a present. Okay, why is this important when it comes to planning? It's because, yeah, I am moving back. Okay, why is this important is that is often overlooked, right, in our planning is that people, even as because it's often overlooked, yeah. So even as we try to do well in our jobs, to earn a decent income, we budget our expenses to make sure that we save as well. Why is my screen not moving? Yeah, okay, and that we save as well, and then ensure that we have a surplus to help us to save and invest to achieve our future goals. And MoneyOwl, we actually believe that it is also very important to make sure that you invest your time and money today in purposeful activities with people who matter to you along the way. So this is something that's very close to my heart because I have many people who depend on me, not just financially, but also emotionally for support. They are my 4 beautiful children whom God has gifted me with. So one of the things that we really enjoy as a family is to go on overseas vacations together. And you can imagine that traveling in such a big group of 6 people is going to be quite expensive for us. However, this is one of those activities that is non-negotiable for us as a family because while my children are still young and they want to spend time with their parents, I want to make sure that I'm always present for them as well so that we can create beautiful memories together. And that is also knowing, based on my own experience, that these opportunities won't be there forever. There will be some point of time where your children will want to spend more time with their friends than with their parents. So we want to make sure that we are able to spend that time with them while they are still interested in us. So obviously committing to thousands of dollars in family holidays every year is going to affect how much I can accumulate to my retirement. And I don't make these decisions blindly. It's only when I've done proper planning and investing that I can do this with confidence. It may mean that I may end up with lesser retirement income in the future, but it's a trade-off that I happily make. The thing is that, but the important thing is that I make these conscious decisions to lead a purposeful life. Now, the second thing that we want to talk about, the second consideration that we have is to remember the role of CPF and CPF Life in your retirement. Okay, so for most of us, we have been forced to contribute to our CPF from the first day we started working. And if you are in your 40s or 50s today, you may be looking at your CPF accounts and you might wonder, wow, how did my account grow so much over all these years? This is because while you contribute to your CPF, your employer also contributes their share, and the government supports you by paying you good risk-free interest on your savings too. So how does CPF actually help you specifically in your retirement planning? So your CPF savings is designed to provide you with a stream of lifelong income through CPF Life, which you will start to receive from the age of 65 years old. Now, the amount of payouts you can get is dependent on how much CPF savings you have accumulated or topped up by the time you start your payouts. So giving you some numbers, for example, is that if you are 55 years old this year and you can set aside a basic retirement sum, okay, of $93,000 in your retirement account, you would be able to receive about $800 per month. If you're able to set aside the full retirement sum, which is 2 times of the basic, you get about $1,500 per month. And if you're able to set aside the enhanced retirement sum, which is 3 times of the basic, your monthly payout will grow to $2,200 per month for the rest of your life. If you're able to jointly set aside this enhanced retirement sum together with your spouse, both of you would be able to enjoy more than $4,000 per month jointly in retirement for life. Now, while this won't afford you a luxurious lifestyle, it is definitely a decent retirement based on today's terms. In fact, based on a recent OCBC wellness survey, we also learned that if you're looking at some kind of lifestyle, that you're a part-time helper, you can still drive a mid-range car, go for regional holidays every year, and once in a while go eat in a restaurant and out in food courts and stuff like that. This amount of money is more than able to help you maintain that kind of retirement lifestyle. So before you worry over whether you will actually have enough for retirement, always take a look at your CPF first, and don't forget that the goal it takes for you. So the third point that I would like to, and the third consideration to take note of, is that we need to cater for our healthcare and caregiving expenses in our old age. So I think most of you may be familiar that our average life expectancy is about 85 years old. And according to MOH, the healthy life expectancy at birth for Singaporeans is actually 73.9 years. Okay, what this means is that this is the number of years that a Singaporean is expected to live in good health. So if I count myself as an average Singaporean, and I can live until 85 years old, and I expect to live about 74 of those in good health, what this tells me is that I'm going to live about 10 years in poor health, whether due to sickness or due to injury. And MOH expects that 1 in 2 healthy Singaporeans age 65 could become severely disabled in their lifetime. And of this, 3 in 10 could remain in disability for 10 years or more. Now, to cater for this risk, we need to factor additional costs for healthcare as well as for caregiving expenses, and also its related insurances into our cash flow planning. A long-term care insurance like Casual Life is one affordable way to secure a monthly payout for life for your caregiving expenses in the event of severe disability. When we talk about severe disability, we are referring to in the event of illness or disability that renders you unable to take care of like basic living activities such as going to the toilet, feeding yourself, or moving around. And Casual Life is now available for anybody who wants to pick it up since 2021. Okay, so the second thing, another concern that retirees have is the cost of healthcare in retirement, which is something that most of you pointed it out just now in the chat. So according to MOH, the cost of healthcare has increased by more than 50% over the last 20 years, with an average inflation rate of 2.3%, which is higher than the headline inflation. So even with MediShield Life, which all of us have, we may have to be prepared for premiums to also increase, and there could potentially be higher cash layouts if your insurance do not cover treatments or alternative medicines for certain types of treatments. Because last year, MOH was reviewing the kind of coverage, the MediShield, kind of cancer treatments that MediShield Life will cover, and this could eventually lead to the exclusions of certain types of alternative treatments. So in which case, you may need certain additional cash buffers to make sure that those treatments are covered for if this is of a big concern to you. Now, for those of you who own an integrated shield plan, you may need to pay attention to these other costs that you see here, this big table that you see here, right? This scary table. This is actually showing you the premiums of a shield plan covering private healthcare for one of the insurance companies in Singapore. Okay, while premiums are largely affordable when you're younger, it becomes more and more expensive as one grows older. For example, the cash outlay required for a 75-year-old, okay, let me click on that. Yeah, you can see a 75-year-old would be roughly about $2,600 per year. So this is the amount of premiums that the plan will cover, and you actually have some additional withdrawal limits that you can claim through your MediShield. But the difference has to be a cash outlay that you pay from your pocket. Okay, so for somebody who is in the 75-year-old range, the cash outlay would be roughly about 2,600 per year. And therefore, this is which is actually works out to be about $200 per month. So don't forget to include this in your cash flow should you decide to retain this coverage, or you can always review your insurance plans accordingly. Remember, even if you do drop your integrated shield plan, you will always be covered by MediShield Life. Now, in addition to having the right insurance cover and also setting aside additional budget for healthcare costs, there is actually a third way that you can mitigate this risk. And the third way is actually prevention. So this is why we are so happy to have Dr. Koh with us today, and he'll be sharing with us later on how we can avoid and manage the 3 highs so that we can enjoy our retirement in good health. So how do we fold all these considerations into our retirement plan? So this is how MoneyOwl does it with our comprehensive financial planning. And our clients who have gone through this found that this is really something that's very different from how the other players in the industry does it. First, we incorporate and integrate how much you can receive from your CPF Life seamlessly into your retirement plan. We use a proprietary CPF Analyzer tool to help project your current CPF balances, your contributions and withdrawals into the future, and to help you determine what your CPF Life payout will be to a high degree of accuracy. And this will help form the foundation of your retirement income. Next, rather than start from where you need, how much you need in the future and then work backwards, we start from where you are now, actually based on your current lifestyle. And we project the available surpluses that you have into the future as well. We work with your current lifestyle because we recall the first key consideration is that we want to because we recognize that life starts today and we want to respect that. So then we use a combination of withdrawal strategies that best suits your needs to draw down an income from your assets. So this forms the second layer of your retirement income. So for some of our clients, after having gone through this planning approach with us, usually we have 2 types of clients. On one hand, we have some clients, they may realize that they are actually much better off than they expected. And this actually gives them the assurance to either spend more on themselves and their family today on purposeful activities. It also helps them to realize that they actually do not have to take on higher risk investments, and for some, even they can take on secondary life goals. Now, the other group of clients, after going through this experience, they might actually find that it's actually a very sobering experience, and it might be time for them to evaluate their own situation and the trade-offs that they might need to make in order to make their future happen. So whatever the decision is, our clients enter retirement with their eyes wide open and a certain level of peace and confidence. All right. So thirdly, of course, because we talk about healthcare and caregiving expenses, we want to make sure that they are taken care of. So rather than help you set aside even more savings to buffer for these additional expenses, which you don't know whether you need or not, we recommend that you take up affordable insurances that are specially designed to pay for your healthcare expenses or give you the additional monthly benefit boost should you need caregivers to take care of you. We have found that by depending on insurances, it is likely to be a more cost-efficient way for you to address this concern. So whether you choose to plan with, after this presentation, and you're really concerned about your retirement plans right now, whether you choose to plan with MoneyOwl, with your own advisor, or even do it yourself, I think if these are 3 pointers that you have never thought about at all, and I hope that they are refreshing to you, this might be a good time for you to review your plans to see if you have actually taken them into consideration. All right, so now I'll move on to my last segment of my presentation. So now that you have understood that there are 2 phases to retirement planning and 3 considerations to take note of for a sustainable retirement income retirement plan, I would like to share with you a recent study by 2 well-known academics in the field of retirement. They are Alex Maguire and Wade Pfau, which you can see there under as my source in the slide. So in 2021, they published a paper called A Model Approach to Selecting a Personalized Retirement Income Strategy. And it really piqued my interest because through their study, they have actually found a way to help people decide which strategy works for them based on their personality and based on their goals. Because I think one of the key things that we've always tried to do is to help and encourage people to take actions towards their positive actions towards their retirement, but always faced with so much hurdles and obstacles. But if you are able to find a way that appeals to a person's personality, then that would certainly get more motivation and more buy-in as well. So through their research, Alex and Wade found out that a person's preferred retirement income strategy can be largely determined by two main factors, which I'll be using with you today. But I want to also caveat that this what I'm sharing with you is actually a very watered down version of their actual research. In the interest of time, I can't share everything. But I thought it would be useful for us to go through this little exercise to help you determine or help you see what kind of profile that you actually fall into. All right, so as you can see from this slide here, I actually have a horizontal scale on 1 to 6. Okay, there's a horizontal scale. I'm going to show you two sentences on opposing ends of this scale, and I would like you to think about which of these sentences actually appeals more to you, and then take a note of it. All right, if you're ready, the first sentence is, I want to have a reliable cash. I would like to have reliable cash flows to fund my essential expenses in retirement. Okay, this is the first sentence. I want to have reliable cash flow to fund my retirement essential expenses. And this, if you're someone who's very concerned about the safety of your money and that certainty, and you want a steady and almost guaranteed source of income, then you will fall within this range of 1 to 3. Okay. On the opposing end of the spectrum is this other sentence. I want my retirement income to support all my discretionary expenses, even if I have to experience some investment volatility. So if you're someone who's really concerned about your retirement lifestyle and the certain goals that you want to meet, and you know that in order for you to meet those goals, you need to spend beyond your essentials, and you will need to have an income that is sufficient for those. And in order to meet those, you will have to take on some investment risk with your money to achieve that, and you're okay with that. Okay. So if you happen to fall into this other spectrum on the right hand side, then you will score yourself somewhere between 4 to 6. Okay, I know some of you may be thinking that, why can't I have a reliable stream of income that can pay for all my expenses without taking any risk? Do you think such a thing exists? Don't take any risk, fully guaranteed and sufficient to pay for all my expenses. In order to do that, you will really have to probably set aside a lot more assets in order to go through the guaranteed kind of route. And it may not be something that is suitable or available to all of us. So definitely we need to trade off between one or these two. Okay, so this is the first dimension. So think in your mind which one you are likely to fall on, more on the left and more on the right. Now in this second scale, which is the vertical one, I'm going to show you the same two more sentences, and I want you to choose which one appeals to you more. Okay, the first sentence is, I would like to have the flexibility to move my assets around. So if you prefer not to be tied down to any structure or assets permanently, and you have the flexibility and you would like to have the flexibility to withdraw them when need arises, you will score yourself somewhere between 1 to 3. Okay. On the flip side, at the bottom, if the sentence, I would like to commit to a fixed strategy to protect my assets. And this might appeal to you if you're somebody who actually don't mind losing flexibility in exchange for a certain or fixed outcome. And also because you don't want to deal with the hassle of always changing your plans as and when the market moves. So if this sounds like you, then you will score yourself somewhere between 4 to 6. All right. So now having gone through these two scales, you will now put you into a matrix that looks like this. Okay. So I'd like you to think about where you might fall within this matrix. There are 4 quadrants on the top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right, based on your preference that you have actually made note of in the earlier 2 slides. All right. So I give you about 10 seconds to think about which quadrant you belong to. All right. And then now, depending on what's going to happen based on the research, right? What they shared is that depending on which style that the client or the person actually falls into, they actually have certain solutions that will fit this person's personality. So based on this study in US, which has access, because actually this study is based in US, which has access to instruments that are very different from us in Singapore. So I have to localize some of the solutions here, which you can consider. So if you belong in the bottom right left-hand corner here, that means you are somebody who values a reliable cash flow and don't mind committing to a plan, you will find that CPF Life is actually most suitable for you. Okay, in which case, then you may want to consider looking at how you can maximize and top up to your CPF to give you the highest possible payout from our national annuity scheme. Okay, because CPF Life is the payout is almost quite guaranteed or stable, and but it does require you to be tied up to a certain to the annuity plan that you cannot like kind of opt off after that. Now, if you belong to this upper right-hand corner here, where we talk about investment volatility and flexibility, if you belong to this group, it means that you don't mind taking investment risk to make sure that you have enough to fund your living expenses in retirement, and you value the flexibility to withdraw your savings when you need it, then you might find it worthwhile to pursue diversified portfolio to fund your retirement. You will continue to invest your money in the portfolio even in retirement, but you will use a type of a systematic withdrawal rule or a dividend paying fund to derive an income for your spending needs on a regular basis. Okay, if you belong to the top left-hand corner group here, which means you are the group that wants a reliable stream of income, and also you would like to maintain some form of flexibility in your money, what the research suggests or recommends is that you can consider a time segmentation type of approach, or commonly known as a bucketing strategy. So basically, you think about carving up your entire retirement nest egg into different pools of money, and you put them into safe instruments, like for example, endowment plans or bonds that would mature over a staggered 5, 10, 15, 20 years period, so that monies that you need now, you can actually use them, and then giving monies that you don't need until a later time, more time to compound and earn interest. I actually want to add that if you actually have CPF balances over and above what you need to set aside in your retirement account, they are actually the best form of this kind of solution, because monies in your CPF balances post 55 are very flexible, because you can withdraw them after you have set aside the retirement sums, and the returns on this money is actually risk-free as well. Okay, and lastly, for those who belong in the bottom right-hand quadrant, you are someone who doesn't like taking investment risks, and you will prefer to commit to a fixed strategy, so you don't have to worry about market conditions. You may find that a combination of retirement income plans with some diversified investments will give you the steady stream of income that you're looking for. Almost no-brainer, just commit already every month, just commit, get the income, and you can, while having some investments, give you the uplift, and this might give you the best results as well. So as mentioned, this matrix only looks at your preferences in terms of your personality, but it hasn't accounted for other goals that you might have in retirement, such as making sure that your money lasts as long as you do, leaving a legacy behind, and other considerations. So when we layer those other considerations on top of your personality preferences, the recommended outcome could be different. Thus, I mentioned it's very complicated, right? When it comes to accumulation, it is always best to work with a financial advisor if you already are doing so. All right, so this is my last slide, okay, that which I'll be sharing with you. So my giving 5 more minutes. Okay, so now that you have some idea on the various retirement income strategies out there, the good news is that you can also choose to implement these strategies with MoneyOwl according to what's most suitable for you. So as a financial advisory firm, like Titus has shared, we seek to offer a one-stop shop for all our clients' needs, and coupled with the unbiased advice, because our advisors are all fully salaried. And we are also pretty confident that we are one of the few people or organized companies that you can go to execute your insurance or implement your investments at the lowest cost, because this is part of our social mission, part of our DNA, to help everyday Singaporeans make wise decisions with their money. So we have 2 types of solutions, because we were talking about the different quadrant, right? And thinking that, oh, what about retirement income plans? What about investments? So actually, under retirement income plans, we actually sifted out 3 attractive plans offered by insurance partners that we work with. And the projected returns on this plan can actually go as high as 3.92%, based on an illustrated returns of about 4.25 of the underlying par fund. Okay, based on how you want to structure your retirement income needs, you can then also choose either to have a limited pay type, means pay for 10, 20 years according to your needs, or even opt for one that gives you a lifelong payout. And because at MoneyOwl, we believe in helping you to lower the cost of everything related to financial planning. If you actually take up retirement income plan with us, we will also give you 50% commission rebate on this plan. For example, a 50K single premium plan in our retirement income plan will give you a commission rebate of about $800. So it gives you even more savings. Now, if you're on the right-hand side, somebody who is actually keen to invest or able to invest, you can also choose from two of our globally diversified portfolios with projected long-term returns of up to 6.7%. Okay, our dimensional portfolios are built on global price winning research to invest in thousands of quality and high growth potential companies at value prices. And dimensional is able to do it and staying true to our investment principles without having to market time or stop peak. And you can also invest in Wise Income, which is a multi-asset portfolio of global equities, Asian bonds and SGS, as well as S-REITs. And this fund is managed by Fullerton Fund Management, a homegrown company, exclusively for MoneyOwl. So no matter which portfolio you choose, when you invest through MoneyOwl, you can be sure that you follow, that all the investment strategies follow time-tested strategies of capturing market-based returns through broad diversification, no market timing, and at the lowest cost possible. All right. So in conclusion, I have come to my last slide already. So in conclusion, remember that there are two phases when it comes to your retirement, or wealth journey. Secondly, develop a retirement strategy that considers these three key things: your current lifestyle, your CPF, as well as your potential healthcare and caregiving costs. And lastly, remember that there are about 4 different retirement income profiles that you can fall into, and choose a strategy that best suits your goals and personality to help you get started, and most importantly, stay on track so that you can achieve your goals into the future. And now, because you're all here, right, so I have something very interesting and exciting to share with you. So we are currently having a promotion for retirement income plans. And if you are looking to build a steady stream of income with limited investment risk, and so that you can enjoy your retirement with a peace of mind, well, look no further. Not only with MoneyOwl can you get up to 50% of the first year commission rebates, you can also now you can also now get a DeLonghi Stiloso Palm Espresso machine. So what has coffee and retirement planning have in common? Because whenever you look at pictures of people who are already happily retired, they're always sipping a cup of coffee. Yes. So now with this DeLonghi espresso machine, right, you can now kickstart your retirement lifestyle, start imagining it by sipping your favorite coffee from the comforts of your home, and you no longer need to spend money on expensive branded coffee anywhere else. So if you're interested to find out more about this promotion, which is only limited to the first 100 customers, you will want to scan this QR code to find out more. And my last slide is to also share with you that if you found that MoneyOwl's way of planning for your retirement planning is actually something that you're really interested to find out more, and you'd like to have that kind of same assurance for yourself, we do have a fee-based comprehensive financial planning service, which you can go to this website or web link to find out more as well, and simply write in to inquire further. Okay, thank you for your time and your patience, and I wish you all the best in your financial future. I'll hand the time over back to Titus now.
All right, thank you so much, Lena, for your sharing. I myself went through the exercise and I learned something about myself tonight. So just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, so do feel free to continue posting your questions in the chat box. Our colleagues will be standby to answer your questions. And also towards the end of the session, we will have Lena and Dr. Koh back with us to answer some Q&A. All right, without further ado, allow me to quickly introduce our next speaker. Is Dr. Philip Koh, a senior physician, family physician from Heathway Medical. Dr. Koh will be covering with us this topic that I think many of us are quite concerned about, which is the three highs, right? Blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure. That's as much as I know about the three highs. I will not steal the thunder from Dr. Koh. So without further ado, Dr. Koh, please.
Yes, hi everyone. Now that Lena has brought us to Mount Fuji, let me bring you back down to Earth. Can you guys hear me clearly? I'm going to share my slide. Oops. No, it's another.
Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Just wait for us to resolve this technical issue. Right. Let's see.
I'm not allowed to share. What happened? Share screen. Oh.
Sometimes we do encounter such things. We seek your understanding. Work from home arrangements, sometimes part and parcel technical errors do happen. Seek your patience as we try to resolve this. Yeah, maybe in the middle of this, could I just, I have a question here from one of our participants to Lena as Dr. Koh tried to resolve the technical issue. Right. So Lena, oh, all right, cool. Lena, I'll hold the question later for you. I'll make sure that I ask you that question. So Dr. Koh, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. All right. Now that Lena has brought us to Mount Fuji, thank you for the sunrise. I will remember that. And she saved us the trouble of going up to Mount Fuji just to see that. Now we have heard all about highs in life, right? The good highs and the bad highs. You know, in school we have high marks and we are very happy. And Lena has just taught us how to get high returns for investment. Now in health, we also want to have good highs, like high values for good cholesterol. But certain things in life are not so good when it is high, right? We are looking at high blood pressure, high weight, high bad cholesterol, high blood sugar. So today we want to talk about the highs that get us into trouble as we live through the pressures and the pleasures of life, right? And as Lena brought us to taught us how to invest our money, here I hope to share with you some things that we can do to invest in our health. So the first high I'm going to talk about is high blood pressure. As you know, high blood pressure is such a common thing in Singapore. I think we have about 30% population numbers in Singapore who have high blood pressure. It is a sign that says that our heart is being overworked. So not something good. And this can lead to heart attacks, heart failure, and this can lead to strokes. Many of us have seen this machine, right? And many of us have this machine at home. But do we actually know what they mean? So I want to explain to you this in a minute, what all these numbers actually mean. So on the right, we have SYS, which stands for systolic. Now this upper reading is actually the number that tells you the pressure at which the heart pumps. And when the heart pumps very hard, it brings the blood around the entire body so that it can provide all the nutrients, the oxygen to your organs, you know, to your heart, to your lungs, to your muscles, to your liver, to your kidney, everywhere. Now, when the blood pressure is too high, then what happens is that the blood vessels can burst, right? Just a high water pressure can burst your pipes. So when they say that, you know, Chinese have a saying called 气死人, right? When you get very angry, they say 气死人. When you get angry, this is the number that can go up very high. It can go up to 180, 200, 220. And if your blood vessels are not strong enough, it can literally burst. So when it bursts, of course, you die, right? Or you get a stroke. So it's 气死人. Then the bottom number, the second number is actually the diastolic pressure, right? This is the pressure at which the heart rests. So after it pumps, there's still a little bit of blood in your heart. Now, if this pressure is high, it is like giving the heart a background stress. I don't know whether some of you have felt it before, like, you know, if you are very busy at work and you go home and you cannot stop thinking about work, there's this background stress. Or if you had a quarrel with someone in the family and you go to work or you go out, and that unhappy feeling just lingers in your brain and it gives you that background stress. Now, can you imagine sleeping through the night, every night, having this background stress, and you're not able to sleep well, not able to rest well? So when that happens, one day you're going to get a breakdown, you're going to get a burnout. And that is what happens in the heart, right? And the heart is actually a muscle. And when you pump very hard all the time, the muscle becomes bigger, right? That's why you go to the gym, you do bodybuilding, and the muscles become very big. But the heart is a little different, because a bigger heart is not necessarily a stronger heart. Now, the next high that we'll talk about now is something all of us are familiar with, right? Because so much in the media talks about diabetes. Diabetes to some of us is sweet blood, to some of us is sweet urine. But isn't it good to be sweet? You're so happy when someone is sweet to you, right? But sometimes life is actually sweeter with less sugar, because your blood is sweet and your body is starving. Now, why is that so? So let me tell you that when you eat something, right, it goes into your stomach and this gets digested. So the sugar gets absorbed into the bloodstream, and the blood carries this sugar around the body to the rest of the organs, right? To your brain, to your kidneys, to your lungs, everywhere. What happens is, in diabetes, it stays in the blood. It doesn't go into the organs. So the blood has all the sugar, the organs don't have the sugar. It's just like all the exits to the highway are all blocked. And the cars just go round and round the PIE or the ECP, and it's not able to get to the destination, right? In order to get to the destination, you need to unblock these exits. And to unblock this exit, you need this hormone called insulin. Now, insulin is a hormone that's produced by the pancreas in our body. Either the pancreas is sick and cannot produce enough insulin, or if you have enough insulin but the insulin cannot work because something is blocking the insulin from working, then the exits get blocked and you are not able to get to the target organ. So the organs are starving. You see all the symptoms of diabetes there, right? Many of us know you pass too much urine, you're always thirsty, you're always hungry, and you can lose weight. And you lose weight is because all the organs are not getting enough sugar, and that includes your muscles. That's why you have muscle loss, and that's why you lose weight. Now, sometimes you have other symptoms, you know, that give us an idea that, oh, maybe he has diabetes. Like, for instance, if your vision gets blurred, you have wounds that don't heal, you have numbness of your feet, you get vaginal infections. Doctors often say that, I think you better check for diabetes, right? You can get complications in the brain, in the kidneys, in the lung, in the heart, and in the eyes. Okay, so if you have blurring of vision, please see a doctor. And the reason is because the sugar in the blood is actually poison to your blood vessels. So when the blood vessels are damaged, and that's when your organ eventually gets damaged. And like I said just now, high blood pressure, what is the commonest symptom of high blood pressure? Many people always think it is headache and giddiness, but actually the commonest symptom of high blood pressure is no symptom. Okay, it is silent. And when you see a doctor for something, doctor checks your blood pressure, it is high. What is the commonest symptom of diabetes? It is the same, it is silent. And that comes to my next point, which is cholesterol. And what's the commonest symptom of high cholesterol? It is also silent. That's why you must go for your health screening. That's why you need to check. You know, in Singapore, when you hit 40 years old, I believe, we all get a letter from the government and says that, you know, screen for health. Please go and check your blood pressure, your weight, your cholesterol, your sugar. Okay, you get a letter, please go and have it checked. I think you only pay a minimum $2, $5, $10, depending on your income level. Now we go back to high cholesterol. You see the picture, and what you are seeing here is actually the plaque. These are cholesterol deposits. Now, cholesterol deposits on the inside of the blood vessel, and what happens is that when it accumulates enough, it blocks the entire blood vessel. So what happens? The blood cannot flow. And when the blood cannot flow, you have no more blood going to the organ dies. If this organ happens to be the heart, you get a heart attack. If it's a brain, you get a stroke, right? If it's a kidney, you can get kidney failure. So people will tell you that, yeah, but we all need cholesterol. Cholesterol is good for the body, right? That's what the internet always says. But here we are talking about high levels of bad cholesterol. So if you ever do a cholesterol blood test, you will see two levels. One is the HDL cholesterol and the LDL cholesterol. So for people who know Chinese, I tell them that H stands for Hao. Hao means good. So you remember that HDL is good cholesterol. And LDL, the L, you can stand for lousy. So you know that, oh, LDL is bad cholesterol. That's one way to remember it, right? So why do we need to bring down bad cholesterol, and how much bad cholesterol is good, is enough rather? Let me ask you, how many bad people do we need in Singapore? And what's the answer? The lower, the better, right? There's no such thing as zero bad people in Singapore, and there will therefore be no such thing as zero bad cholesterol in your system. But we try to bring it to as low a number as possible. And one of the things we always say that, hey, don't eat too much animal fats, saturated fats, right? Because that increases this LDL. Okay, and LDL also found in certain foods like baked goods, fried foods, all the oils. And then I want to bring down one special point here is about oil. If you go to the supermarket and you look around all the cooking oils, many of them will say that it is cholesterol free. Let me tell you that this is a half truth, okay? The fact that the oil is cholesterol free is true because there's no cholesterol found in that oil if you were to examine that oil. But what happens is that when you cook with that oil and eat that oil, the body will actually produce cholesterol from that oil. Okay, so the body makes use of that oil to make cholesterol. So if you take a lot of oil, you will still get high cholesterol. So what are the types of risk factors we look at in health? Now, this heart attack grill is a real place in Las Vegas. In case you want to go there and take a photo of this burger, I would say that, yeah, it is worth taking a photo, but stop there. Okay, it is not something that we should eat unless you want to have a heart attack. Of course, if you look at the people there who are eating these burgers, they are also huge. And they are very, very huge. Okay, they are very, very big size. Risk factors, there are many. And there are reversible risk factors and there are irreversible risk factors. All right. The irreversible risk factors are factors that we cannot change. Things like genetics, because my parents has high blood pressure or high cholesterol, or both my parents have high blood pressure and high cholesterol, there'll be even higher risk. Or age, right? As we grow older, our system cannot manage the blood pressure or cholesterol as well. Or sex, right? That means whether you're male or female. Males have a higher risk, and females, after they have achieved menopause, they also have a higher risk. Now, these are things that we cannot change, so we don't want to talk too much about these. We always look at things that we can change, right? So, if you look at this bear, you know, when we were young, when I was young anyway, when I was young, every time we have classmates, you know, who are fat, you know, and they're always a laughing stock in the class or in the school. We will always say that, you know, look at that fat boy, and we laugh at them. But nowadays, I don't think anybody laughs at fat people anymore because they are everywhere, you know, and it has become a norm that, oh, you know, you're overweight, you know, we say, oh yeah, I think I should lose weight, you know, and that's it. But it serves to a point that, you know, childhood obesity is so real today that childhood obesity will lead to adult obesity. You know, many years ago, when Ministry of Health actually ran a pilot project that my clinic was one of them selected, you know, and we actually had the primary 2 students who were overweight. And they actually came to my clinic with the parents' consent to have their blood taken for high cholesterol. And 20% of these fat, overweight children actually already have high cholesterol. The rest are okay, but that's because they haven't grown up and become adults yet, right? Many of us have machines to calculate body fat, and you can do that and you see, oh, my body fat is above the limit, right? There's always a limit for you to check. Many of us also check our fats by BMI, right? Body mass index. And you do that by doing your weight, divide by your height, and divide by your height again. The number that we are looking for in Singapore is less than 23. Okay, not 25, all right? International numbers is 25, but because we are Asians, so we have to look at the number below 23. Okay, just now you remember what I said about diabetes is that one of the reasons why a person gets diabetes is the insulin cannot work so well because something is blocking the exit of the expressway, right? And one of these reasons is fat. Okay, fat actually blocks the action of insulin. And of course, all of us know that if you smoke, smoking is never good. And if you drink alcohol, if you drink too much, it's also never good, right? And the next thing here is, of course, exercise and the lack of exercise as a risk factor. Now, many of us say that we're always too tired, but don't forget that exercise is a habit and lack of exercise is also a habit. So if you don't exercise, then you will end up not exercising. And before you know it, one day has passed and the next day you don't exercise, the next day has passed. So I want to spend a bit of time talking about exercise. The exercise is not about weight. The loss of weight will come along the way, but we exercise because we want to have other good things about exercise, right? We want to have better mood. It's all about well-being, self-esteem, energy level, feeling younger, right? You have to have more energy to last the day. My patients will tell me that, I'm so tired at the end of the day and I want to have more stamina. So the irony is that in order to do that, you need to exercise. And I tell you, I run the morning clinic, afternoon clinic, and evening clinic. And when I finish at 9 o'clock, I will go for my run. Then I go home. And before you know it, one day is over. And you do it again the second day. After a month, when you look back, you have either exercised or you have not exercised during that month. Okay? And exercise also helps us sleep better. And you need to have enough sleep. Otherwise, if you don't have enough sleep, they always say that you grow fatter, right? And how do you sleep better? So let me spend 1 minute talking about sleep. Now, many of us who have problems sleeping, here are some tips, okay? You actually reduce the lighting in your room. Okay, don't have it too bright. Have a good bedtime routine. Many of us during the eve of public holidays or during the weekends, we tend to sleep later, right? And very much later, like 3 a.m. in the morning when you normally sleep 11, right? It's either due to partying or other reasons. And then we should limit our electronics, right? Whether it is Netflix, whether it is laptop games, YouTube. Reduce your coffee, reduce your alcohol, and spend less time worrying. And if you have too much worries anyway, what do? Have a worry hour. Do you know what's a worry hour? That means you actually spend 1 hour worrying. Okay, you go to one corner or go to your table, you either write down all your worries or talk to the wall. Just say all your worries out. And at the end of the half an hour or 1 hour, you tell yourself, I've finished worrying. Okay, now it's time to sleep. Okay? Now, that moves us to the COVID pandemic, right? Now, we know that today we are far from the beginning of COVID. The peak of Omicron is over. The daily Omicron case counts is subsiding. And this subsidence is actually picking up in pace. Week-on-week case ratio is dropping, right? It was 1, now it's 0.8. Now I think it's 0.7. But what do we notice? The hospitals are strapped. Patients with chronic disease have worsened over the last 2 years, and they're packing the hospitals now. And this worsening of chronic medical conditions have given rise to acute medical emergencies. Because chronic medical conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, they are silent. And when it crosses a threshold, it suddenly bursts. That's why I tell people, the first sign of your high cholesterol or your high blood pressure could be a heart attack. And it's too late. So I have a few pictures here, of course. You can see that the first thing that happens in COVID-19 on the left upper corner is work from home, right? And many of us have been working from home for the last 2 years. So work from home, a lot of people tell me they have to work longer hours. There is no distinct separation between work and non-work. They snack comfortably because there's snacks all over the table. Nobody is watching them eat. They drink more coffee instead of water, right? And then after that, what happens? After that, they on the right bottom corner, you see the delivery man will come, and then you have got Grab food, or you have Deliveroo. Somebody will send food to you, right? And you tell me you don't have time to exercise because you're so busy at home, right? You don't even move. So I can tell you that during this time, there are many things that we can actually do during COVID-19, right? In fact, when you're working from home, you can do a lot of things in between. You can actually do your push-ups and sit-ups when you take a break. You're very comfortable. In fact, the picture just below it shows someone walking up the steps. And I deliberately chose this picture because many of us live in HDB flats. Some of us live in condos, or even those who live in landed, might live in a 3-story landed. There are always staircases around us, right? You can always go up there and climb up the stairs. And when I tell patients that, sometimes they tell me that, oh, but I live on the 3rd story. But we're not talking about going home. We're talking about doing an exercise. So how do you climb up the stairs? You can actually climb to the top and come down, climb to the top and come down, right? That's exercise. And if you can do it for 10, 15 minutes, I think it is really good exercise, okay? Now look at the food delivery. We can always choose not to always deliver food home, right? We can spend a bit of time home cooked food. So there's always a way out. You can cook unhealthy food, just like the snacks above that. You can choose healthier snacks. You can cook unhealthy food or you can cook healthy food. It is your choice, right? Now, right in the middle, you have everything there, mental health. And mental health, I think, is very important because that's what's affecting a lot of people in COVID. Many of us are already sick of all the mask wearing. That's why we have so much news about people who are not wearing masks, about safe distancing, etc. We are also sick because we cannot travel. And if we travel, it's so difficult, we might as well don't travel. And so a lot of us have stress. And some of us have money problems because we lose our job, right? Because of various reasons, we end up having depression, anxiety. And that's why just below that, we say, don't forget to see your doctor. If you already have a chronic medical condition, please take your medicine. Last year, or it's 2020, when the COVID pandemic just started, and there was a lockdown, and many of my chronic patients, they don't appear. And when they come and see me, eventually, it's like 3 months later, and they say that they dare not see a doctor because of COVID. And so for 3 months, they didn't take their medicines. And I remind them that their blood pressure is still there, the cholesterol problem is still there, the diabetes is still there. Then what happens? You don't die of COVID, you're going to get a complication from your high blood pressure, right? That's number one. Second point I want to bring out is, remember that even if you have COVID or if you have flu or if you have other conditions, you still have your chronic medical concerns, whether it is high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol. That did not go away just because you have a flu. And so you still need to continue your medicines, even if you're taking your flu medicines. If you're worried that it clashes, please ask your doctor, does it clash? Do I have to take one first and take the other later? How do I go about taking my medicines? Don't ask Dr. Google, right? Dr. Google gives you information but does not give you perspective. It does not give you context. It does not know you, okay? The doctor knows you because he's the one treating you, right? So that's why we listen to an investment talk, right? You have an investment advisor, right, who will explain to you and discuss your questions. and not just read from the internet and say, I would do an investment without talking to anyone. So similarly here, I think the doctor has an important role. And then, of course, go for your annual health screening. I think that's important. Okay, so I'm coming back here to the risk factors to talk about how do you manage these risk factors, right? If you look at obesity, okay, it is not just a number, it is the trend, right? If some of us are already very overweight, losing 1 to 2 kg from your own effort, 3 to 4 kg from your own effort, whether it is by diet, by exercise, it is a celebration of your achievement. Okay, look for motivating factors. It could be anything. It could be just looking at the mirror, looking at your body shape and say, this is not what I want. So I want to look better, right? You can have a model, the model doesn't have to be someone like an actress or actor, someone that's very hard to get, right? A model can be someone who is a normal size when we are overweight, right? It depends on which level you are at, which stage you are at now. And you can do a comparison and say that this is what I want to achieve. Okay, now you look at exercise, right? Now these are the pictures I showed just now, right? Just as exercise is a habit, I said the lack of exercise is also a habit. And all of us know that time is a limited resource. So what do you do with your time, right? Now, I wear this watch, that's given to me by, I think, the Health Promotion Board, right? It records 10,000 steps a day. Okay, so many of my patients think that if they walk 10,000 steps a day, it is enough exercise for the day. So want to share with you what is 10,000 steps a day. It's better than, of course, doing nothing but sit at home and and not even moving, right? It is good to at least get going walking. But if you are overweight, does walking 10,000 steps a day make you lose weight? If you go window shopping for 5 hours, you will also do 10,000 steps a day, and I tell you, nothing will happen to your weight. Okay, you can Google this number, 7,700. Okay, 7700 is the new 4D for this week. 7,700 calories is 1 kilogram of fat. So in order to lose 1 kg of fat, you need to lose 7,700 calories. Okay, now if you were to walk 10,000 steps, you check the calories, it's probably only 300 to 400. It is very far away from 7,700. You will not be able to lose weight. All right, so it is not about 10,000 steps. It is how you do the 10,000 steps, right? Whether you go running with the 10,000 steps, whether you jump, whether you are skipping, all this make a difference. Okay, so talking about steps, I would say let's do baby steps. Yeah. Now, if you do baby steps, then you'll find that even if you do a slow jog, it is also good. Okay, choose exercise that's comfortable for you. Okay, then we look at diet. Okay, there are many types of diet, but let me tell you, let's do it in moderation. Okay, looking at the burger, there's visible and the invisible part. The visible part, you can see it's all the fats are there, the carbs are there, but the invisible part are things like the salt. And I just understand one minute talking about salt. Salt is everywhere. Okay, next to it, you see the sauces. The salt is found in the sauce, whether it's tomato sauce, chili sauce, oyster sauce, all these are salt. Yeah, and salt is found in seafood, salt is found in canned foods, salt is found in MSG. So when we eat outside, there's really a lot of salt. So what do? If you order like fish soup, don't drink the soup. Okay, drink water. Just take the fish. Yeah, you can order less carbs, right? You order yong tau fu. You order chicken without chicken. Don't eat all the rice. Okay, so these are less carbs you can do. So all this helps to reduce the diet. Okay, now then I will talk a bit about fruits. They say that when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. But fruit juice is actually bad for you. Okay, so don't take fruit juice. Eat the fruits, because the fruits has got not only the sugar, it has got the fibers to balance the sugar. You got vitamins. All right. Now I think smoking, very little I need to say. All of us know smoking is bad, but it says here to kick an enemy is never difficult, so go ahead. But let me tell you, for smokers, cigarette is their friend, it's not their enemy, right? So they say that keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Either way, you lose when a person doesn't want to stop smoking, right? For drinking, we know that if you drink too much, you get a beer belly, so you get fat, right? So is it good to drink? So I just want to say one thing about red wine. because many of us may have heard that red wine is good for health. So red wine in moderation has always been thought of as heart healthy. Any links between red wine and fewer heart attacks, honestly, are not completely understood. So if you're already drinking a glass of red wine a night, I think it is okay, you can carry on. But if you're not, you don't have to start. Okay? So in conclusion, I have these few points just to tie up. The first point is look beyond the numbers. Okay? It is not about controlling the blood pressure. It is not about how much is my blood sugar today. It is about why am I doing this? Why am I keeping my blood pressure in control? Why am I keeping my diabetes in control? It is about the organ, right? I'm actually protecting my heart. I want to keep my brain healthy. I want to maintain my current healthy lifestyle so that I don't fall sick. I don't get heart attack. I don't get a stroke. Number two, healthy aging. The meaning of life has to be in its living. Right? There's no quality of life. There's no point living forever. Right? I remember I had one uncle who had a stroke and he was only 40 plus. He had a stroke and he was lying in bed for 7 or 8 years before he eventually died. And during that time, he had to be tube fed. He couldn't move, he couldn't talk, he couldn't see. All right. So today's medical standards are high. It is not easy to die if you are not critical to that level. So we may end up suffering a lot if we don't take care now. Third point, for certain things like cholesterol, the earlier the better, right? The earlier detect it, the better. The earlier I detect my blood pressure is also the better. The lower the better for cholesterol, and the longer the better for treatment. If you keep it normal levels longer, all the better. All right. Fourth point is consistency and compliance. Remember, you have to be consistent. The most important thing about exercise is being consistent. It's not about how much you achieve. It's not about the timing for my 2.4 kilometer run. It is about being consistent. You know, every day I will go. If I'm not up to it today, I do a bit less. If I can do more, I do more. All right. And to be consistent, sometimes we need to have motivation, right? You know, when we ask friends to go out with us, it's like, hey, you know, where shall we meet for tea or for dinner? Can we like, where shall we meet for a run before we go for tea? Okay. So compliance, please take your medicines as instructed by the doctor and go for your regular health screening. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Koh. I did learn something as well. I always know that there's a naughty corner for kids, but now I know there's a worry corner for myself. Right, so could I have pleasure to have the insights from Dr. Koh, and maybe I'd like to invite Lena back. We do have quite a few questions, so let's try to attempt to cover all of them. I have this question from Dr. Koh. Okay, so it's regarding low blood pressure. Can a low blood pressure indicate our heart is not working properly? We have one of the first question during our session, Dr. Koh.
Okay. Okay, I think low blood pressure is something that there are many causes for low blood pressure. Most of the time for healthy people, low blood pressure is something that we are born with. So, you know, especially we find it more in girls than in boys, but their blood pressure is just low. From the time they are born, you know, until they're just on the lower side of the normal blood pressure. Now, sometimes if the balance is a bit off, then, you know, they faint easily, right? Then we have to tackle those, but you have to talk to your doctor about that. It is not a sign for most people that your heart is not doing well. But if you have a heart problem, and as a result of a heart problem, your blood pressure is low, then you have to discuss with your doctor, how do I manage this low blood pressure? Do I have to take medicines in order to make the blood pressure a bit more normal, right? So basically, this is something that we have to discuss with your doctor if you are worried.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Koh. Okay, yeah, just now very earlier on in our first session, there was during the exercise that Lena was trying to conduct, right? So it was actually this participant asking, why can't I choose both on the reliable spectrum and then the volatile investment spectrum, right? So Lena, would you like to actually give your comments on this?
Yeah, thank you, Titus. Thank you, Dr. Koh, for the sharing. Yeah, I'm sharing with Titus as well that we probably need to go and set up some worry corner somewhere and start writing our worries there as well. Yeah, I think mental health is a really important issue. Mental wellness, we need to continually keep ourselves sane. Yeah, with regards to the question that Vincent asked, I wanted to just clarify that CPF Life is actually our national annuity scheme, and all of us, as long as we are contributing to CPF, we will definitely have a CPF Life when we turn 65 years old. It's not like it's a scheme that we can easily opt out from. So just to clarify that it's not saying that it's only either or kind of thing. For most of us, we will definitely have a CPF Life that helps form our very first layer, our foundational layer of retirement income when we retire. And then subsequently, but then again, there is actually a cap on how much you can have on your CPF Life payouts. And that would be up to the enhanced retirement sum, which gives you about 2,000-ish per month for life. And of course, it is the best annuity scheme, like as one of the participants shared as well. Yeah, we definitely supporters of CPF here, CPF Life and CPF here in MoneyOwl. However, there are some of us who feel that $2,000 may not be enough, and we may want to save more or get a stream of income that is beyond what CPF Life can give us. So in which case, then we have to start thinking about which other methods that would be suitable for us. And this little framework would be able to help us determine which is likely to be a strategy that we will stay disciplined and stay constant on. Yeah, without feeling like because sometimes if we are not very investment type of people and then we actually invest, we might actually feel very jittery and then kind of opt out on investments too soon. Or in some cases, we may not be people who like to commit to a retirement income plan for the long term, for example, and then we may actually also prematurely get out of the plan. So either or, it's not very good if you end up getting into a strategy that's not suitable for you. Yes. Okay, so back to you, Titus.
All right, thank you, Lena. Maybe very quickly, I just saw one question on retirement. Maybe I'll post it to Lena. How do I estimate how much I need for retirement?
Actually, this is actually it all boils down to each individual. Depending on your desired retirement lifestyle, there is no fixed number. Of course, a very easy way for you to start off is by looking at some studies that people have done. There's a lot of retirement studies that people have done to investigate what is like how much a person needs to spend for a basic to average retirement lifestyle. And that number ranges about 1,003 to 1,004 per month, which corresponds nicely actually to your full retirement sum payout from CPF Life. But however, I think but then again, that is only on the average, but you may or may not be the average person. So the best way for you to estimate how much you need for retirement would be to actually do an exercise of going through a list of expected expenses that people would spend, whether on food, transport, clothing, entertainment, etc. And then figuring out how much you actually need. However, this is an exercise that only somebody who's probably in their 50s or 60s nearing retirement would be able to do so accurately. For those of you who are still in the accumulation phase and you're like still a good 10, 20 years for your retirement, actually I would really encourage you to consider doing going through our comprehensive financial planning to help see that actually based on your current resources and your current CPF balances, what kind of retirement income are you expected to get already? Then from there, you decide that, are you comfortable with this number or not? If there's anything you can do or you should need to do to get a better outcome. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Lena. All right, maybe in the next few questions directed to Dr. Koh, there's a couple of questions repeated from our participant on cholesterol. So it goes something like that. My total cholesterol is slightly high, but my HDL is higher than my LDL. Should I be concerned? That is first part. And then there are a couple who say, how do I lower LDL? Dr. Koh, please.
Yeah, okay. I think the first question is HDL versus LDL. Okay, so basically we focus on the LDL. Right? If your LDL is high, we need to bring it down because that is the one that damages your body. Okay, HDL is high, it's a good thing, but how much protection you get from good cholesterol, we don't know, right? But the damage we get from bad cholesterol, we know. That is what I can tell you. So all treatment criteria is all based on how high is your LDL. So having put it this way, if your HDL is very high and your LDL is also very high, we need to treat. We need to bring down the LDL, regardless of your HDL. And the second question was, how do I bring down my LDL, right?
Yes, Dr. Koh.
Yeah, correct. So in terms of lifestyle, of course, the healthy lifestyle is the basics. It's a basic thing. Saturated foods and all that, all the oils, all the baked foods, all the nice foods that we love to eat, your fried kway teow, all these things are all high in saturated fats. And that, of course, contributes to high LDL. But having said that, diet and exercise contributes to this high cholesterol by only about 10 to 15%. Many of us, especially as we grow older, we cannot change the fact that our body cannot cope with managing the cholesterol so well anymore. That's why when you will find that you will hit an obstacle somewhere. So if your LDL is just slightly high, lifestyle change can make a difference. But when the LDL is much higher, let's say 50% higher than a target, then it is very difficult. So let's say the LDL target is, let's say 100 and your number is 140 or 150, you're 50% above that target. There's no way lifestyle can bring down to below 100. And we are talking about the lower the better, right? Because as long as it is high, you have damage. And this is cumulative, and you will not know until 10 years later, 15 years later. When you are 45, 15 years later, you are still 60 only. And so you still have a long way more to go, you see, and something may happen then, we don't know, right? So you may still need medicine to bring down that level. Discuss that with your doctor, and that will give you the best answer in your context.
Okay, Dr. Koh, thanks. There's a very interesting series of questions coming up about eggs, right? I think a lot of people are, so they say there's a debate, right? A debate whether is it okay to take eggs daily or is there a guideline? Probably I also grew up hearing that from my mom, right? Don't take too much eggs. So couple of questions, right? Can I take one hard-boiled egg every day, or should I limit my egg intake to 3 per week? So what's your advice, Dr. Koh?
I think there's no one simple answer for everyone, right? For some people, I mean, if you eat 3 eggs a day, 5 eggs a day, it doesn't affect you, right? For some people, if you take 2 eggs a week, it's too much for you. So I think moderation is key in everything we do, right? If you are already having high cholesterol, let's put it this way, if you're already having high cholesterol and you're already taking medicine for high cholesterol, and your cholesterol is controlled very well, even with your 10 eggs a week or 5 eggs a day for that matter, it doesn't matter. Carry on your 5 eggs a day, eat your cholesterol medicine, and your cholesterol level is still low, right? Because you're looking at the outcome, okay? Now, if you're not taking cholesterol medicine, okay, and your cholesterol is high, and you say that I want to use diet alone, right? You can test it yourself, right? If I just take 2 eggs a week, or if I take 2 eggs every day, doesn't make a difference to my cholesterol level, right? It's you, So I would say that stop reading all this out in the media and all that, because it will not give you an answer, honestly, about you, right? It is all too general, and like you say, it is a controversy, you see. A will say something, B will say something else, and both of them are right.
Right, so I think it goes back to your point of looking beyond the numbers. It's not like 5 eggs, 3 eggs, 10 eggs is the impact of the eggs on your body, right? Thank you, Dr. Koh. So probably one last question to you, right? Probably, pardon me if my pronunciation of this term is not accurate. Is there any non-statin drugs to control cholesterol levels, since statin can cause constipation and muscle ache?
Okay.
Is it
firstly,
statin?
Okay, firstly, what are statins? Okay, statins is the commonest group of medicines that we give to control cholesterol, right? And why is it the commonest group? Is because it is the most evidence-based treatment for lowering cholesterol. Okay, And statins is also that group of medicine that has in itself, the nature of the medicine is able to provide cardiovascular benefit. So there are two things about statins. Number one, it lowers cholesterol. By lowering cholesterol, you already get cardiovascular benefit, right? Because the lower the cholesterol, the better the heart health. But the statin, by nature of its own chemistry, also lowers cardiovascular risk. So you have actually got dual benefit there. That's why we call it pleomorphic, okay? Now, the side effects of statins, giving rise to muscle aches and all the other side effects that you listen to, are actually very uncommon. But uncommon doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? If it happens to you, then of course discuss with your doctor. Yes, answer is yes. There are other medicines that can be given to lower cholesterol, and why it is not as common as statins is because of the reasons I gave in the first place. That these other medicines, one example is ezetimibe, it lowers cholesterol, but it does not have that cardiovascular benefit it confers upon by its own nature. So you actually have more benefit when you take statins. Now, statins causing constipation, it could be just you as a person, but most of my patients, they don't get constipation from statins, okay? If you have constipation and you need to take statins, can we treat the constipation in other ways? Can you think like, take more prune juice or drink more water, do more exercise actually, helps to reduce constipation, right? Or examine your own diet. Is there any type of food that you eat that you think is causing your constipation? So look around the problem if you cannot tackle the problem on slot, that kind of thing. Yeah. But discuss with your doctor. Yes, there are other ways, of course.
Right, thank you, Dr. Koh. So debunk a bit of mystery about eggs, and I think it's a lot about how our body reacts to certain things in certain ways. All right, maybe we have one last question, and I'd like to actually ask Lena this, right? Thanks, Dr. Koh, a lot. Okay, so a comment came that yeah, MoneyOwl is pretty new. So how does that compare to other more established companies or options out there? I think it's a quite interesting one. So I just wanted for you to share with our participants. What's your thoughts?
Okay, thank you, Titus, for the question. Actually, even though I think it might be useful to just share a bit that while MoneyOwl is only about 3 years old, we actually have parents who are actually many of their kids and a rich heritage of serving Singaporeans to help them achieve their financial goals. One side of our parent is that we have our NTUC Enterprise group, where we actually focus on helping the mass market achieve, bring value for money and services to the masses. And on the other side, we actually have our Provident, which is also our parent, bringing with us 20 years of experience in the wealth management to the foreground as well. Actually, I previously, before I joined, back many years ago, in my very first occupation, I was actually a financial advisor in one of the financial advisory firm in Singapore. And I have to say that based on my few years of experience there and having joined MoneyOwl, the way that we do things and the way that we plan for our clients is very, very different. And I hope that in today's sharing, I have shared with you how MoneyOwl's approach towards retirement planning is so different from where you may have encountered from other advisors out there, based on the way that we are very comprehensive in our approach. We look at not just in silos, your insurance planning or your investment planning, and we also even consider national schemes like CPF and integrate them into your plan. I'm also very confident about our client advisors who are very competent, and most of them are on their way to getting AWP or CFP accreditation. And this speaks to their professionalism as well as their competence in this field. And lastly, as what I think Titus yourself has shared earlier, also about MoneyOwl, which is very unique, is that our advisors are fully salaried. So we are non-commission based in the sense that we do not have to our advice is conflict free. So you do not have to feel that advice that you are getting from your advisor could have any hidden intentions or other agendas. Yeah, so I think this is an approach that we have put together through MoneyOwl, and we really want to make a difference to this whole industry. So even though you may think that we are only 3 years old, but think about our parentage, which we actually have decades of history and experience. And also the purpose that MoneyOwl was created was really to help Singaporeans make good wise decisions at the lowest cost possible, and also the best way possible based on all the principles that I've shared today.
All right. Thank you, Lena, for sharing. All right. Time now is 9:13. Right. So I think we are past our official time. So if there's still any questions that you guys might have, feel free to write into us via our email at enquiries@moneyhour.com.sg. Right. Firstly, I'd like to thank Lena and Dr. Koh for sharing and taking this evening to share with us about retirement and about the 3 highs, right? And my most candid takeaway is my worry corner. I will set up a worry corner, Dr. Koh. So to our participants as well, a very big thank you for joining us for this past 2 hours this evening. We would like to actually invite you to scan the QR code to find out more about our promotions. And also, if we can have the pleasure of hearing your feedback, there is another QR code. Please stay behind and scan the QR code and write to us and let us know how we can improve on our next session, or what are the topics that you will want us to organize together with our colleagues at MoneyOwl, or probably we can find partners to talk about. It will be our pleasure to come back to you all in the next few weeks, or even the next few months, to share about more interesting financial planning or even health ideas. If there's no further delay, really just want to thank you everyone and wish everyone a good evening, and please stay safe and have a good night rest. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.